Well, for a read of all the themes set to drive markets this week, Pete McGuire from XM joins us now live. Pete, great to have you on a Monday morning as always. I guess let's start with those jobs numbers on Friday. What were your thoughts?
Well, good morning, Kara. 943,000. I was tell you what, it was better than expected, and we had about 703,000 non-government jobs. So you've had that number crimp down to around about 5.4%. I think it was a fairly good sign, and if that can continue over the next matter of, August, September, October, I think that the taper talks, what happens as far as inflation and all of those inputs are really going to be. We could see a little bit of movement from the Fed.
Yeah, so what does that then mean for the US dollar? We saw a bit of a pop higher on Friday that affected the Australian dollar, sitting around the 73.50 mark. But a broader US dollar story, what's the narrative?
Well, we're at 92.82, so it's bounced strongly to the upside, that US dollar index, Kara, and maybe 93 handles every chance this week. It's a very quiet week, and the heat of summer in August of the US. Everyone's away. They're probably winding down, and it's been a fairly heavy year for them, as we know. So this time of year, very little news is coming through. I think that US dollar will continue to strengthen a little bit further. I'm just looking at a gold spot price. Came up on my phone there. It's under 1,700. So it's been sold off massively in the last matter of hours, and we're waiting to see what happens later on today. So that US dollar index, have a look at the Aussie, have a look at your cross rates, and it's going to be a very interesting run up to Christmas.
Pete, how do you look at equity markets in the US? I mean, record highs seen once again on Friday, but at what point does a taper tantrum kick in, do you think?
Well, I just made note of that. I mean, you nearly got the S&P through 4,500, that magic number, and you've got NASDAQ, really narrowing in on that 15,000 handle. It's at 14,835. We know that the Dow's through 35,000. Have a look at our market, nearly through 7,500. So, it gets to a point that there must be an inflection point at some point, but earnings continue to move in the right direction. Money's cheap, all of those concerns, Kara. I think traders are really, they've been rubbing their hands with glee. It's been the most amazing year or 13 or 14 months for equity rebound. And where it runs from here, well, I think you've just got to keep your eye very closely focused on the screen. Take on board what the considerations are as far as those inflation numbers. We're probably through over 5% comfortably in the US, and whether that continues to uplift. And when do we see a rate rise? We know that I think that's the divergence at the moment. The countries that have got it on their forecast, and the ones that haven't. So that really is the talk of the town at the moment.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that divergence then. How are you looking at Europe at the moment? Of course, their vaccination rate is now beating the US. A lot of those countries sitting around the 60% mark. They've had big furlough programs in place, so those jobs are already still there. Do you think that they now start to look at a better recovery than what we're seeing in the US?
Well, I don't know whether it's going to be better. I mean, I'm just thinking that the US is just so much, it's booming and higher inflation and really that growth story. So, I think, the Eurozone, there's no talk as far as the ECB raising rates, Kara. So that's, really it's going to be a 23, 24 sort of number year-wise until you get some sort of movement to the upside from a rate perspective. So I think it's just a slow grind forward. Overall, the economy's booming quite well. And I talk to Europe each day, and, the general mood over there is fairly strong. So that seems to be a good news story, and let's just see if that momentum can continue over this summer and certainly into the lead up to Christmas.
And what are your thoughts on the UK? Sterling looks like it wants to push higher. The Bank of England in focus last week. They maybe weren't as hawkish as some were expecting, though.
Well, that's it. It's a 138.70, Kara, and I think that that US dollar index is really just that seems to be the storyline at the moment. That solid move to the upside, so it's taking a little bit of heat out of that pound. Maybe it might see a little bit movement down. You might see a 137 handle. Though I wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce. Normally at these times, and I'm laughing a little bit because everyone's away, but that's normally when you do see big gyrations in markets. And don't expect, well, you can expect the unexpected. And I think that over the next matter of a week or two, I wouldn't be surprised to see some volatility enter the currency markets.
So what's your pair then? What are you trading? What's on your trading screen? Australian dollar, euro? Where are you putting your money?
I'm looking very much at the yen versus US dollar. I'm also looking at Aussie versus US dollar. I'm looking at Aussie versus yen. Kiwi is everyone's keeping a very solid focus on Kiwi euro. So I think there's, that's the storyline. Have your screen set up, look at all those different cross rates, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed with movement. Look at what happened as far as gold. That seems to be that's one jumping out of the blocks at the moment. So and also, and I've got to add, I just had a look at Bitcoin. It's up 50% in 3 weeks from that bounce of nearly 30,000. It's through 44 and a half, nearly 45,000. So yeah, have a look at all your markets, take on board what's happening, and that just demonstrates how you can see violent moves. And the Bitcoin was, a classic example of that, Kara.
Yeah, and just having a look at that Australian dollar there. Look, 73.50, still very much caught in that range.
Yeah.
Pete, always great to check in with you on a Monday. Thanks so much for joining us.
All the best and good luck. Thank you, Kara. Good to see you.